Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me admit that Parag is a very dear friend of mine. So whatever he said about me, you can discount it by 100%. And first of all, let me thank Mr. Madhu Mehta for inviting me to this program. I have been regularly a part of this program, and it is always encouraging to see the response which it draws. I must at the outset apologize that my throat might give way. I am suffering from a bad cold and a bad throat, so it might give away in between, but till that time we'll continue. The topic I have is the entrepreneurial journey, entrepreneurial ecosystem, past, present and future. I would really like to start the past from 1991. Although I can briefly talk about India was a very traditionally a very strong nation in business. Before the colonization, we were actually very strong. If my statistics are right, we were at one point of time responsible for 30% of the world trade. And that's the historical background. I won't go into detail too much in that because I don't want to be in a situation where I say that my great grandfather was very rich. So I would rather be focusing today on today's scenario. Well, it was in 1947 that the country gained freedom. But if you really look at between 1947 to 1991, when the country got its first economic liberalization, between 1947 to 1991, the society was generally risk averse. We just wanted to have a salary, a decent job. So that was the mindset with which during this period most of us grew up with. I belong to that era, so I am quite familiar with that era. The entrepreneurship was not something which was very sought after. Now let me get into details from 1991, when the country was liberalized. In 1991, I don't remember the date, but we had just enough foreign exchange reserve to buy oil for 3 days. Our economy would have come to a grinding halt if we did not have more foreign exchange. This was 1991. It was not choice, it was compulsion that we had to liberalize. In 1991, India pledged its gold to Bank of England to get some foreign exchange reserve. Those of you who know what is the value of gold in Indian household, it is the last resort. Whenever there is a calamity, a catastrophe which hits the family, it is the last resort. Gold is the last resort to get liquidated. It is an emotional thing for the Indian household. So at that point of time, we had to pledge our gold to get foreign exchange. Well, that liberalization started having its effect. 95 was the year when, if you, those of you remember that, the problem Y2K happened, or a perceived problem of Y2K happened, and hordes of Indian IT professionals went abroad to US, to Europe, to solve that Y2K problem. You just have a 3 months diploma and you are put on the flight. So that was the time period when hordes of young Indians went abroad. Well, 2000, there was a turn of century, nothing much happened. But what happened was it was the first time that the world's confidence in India's ability to deliver was established. Earlier, we were not known as a knowledge nation. We were known as a nation which was snake charmers, those kind of things. More importantly, it was India's own confidence in its ability to deliver which was established during this period. It was that self-confidence which was established during this period. With the result, there were hordes of Indian IT professionals who then either they willfully they came back, or after that Y2K problem was solved or was taken care of, they came back. They now had a bicontinental strategy. They were familiar with two continents. They could do business. There were various businesses which got spawned around during that period. I am tempted to share with you my own story. I was studying right across the road at IMA. Professor Jaju was my teacher. The year was 1982-84. I myself wanted to be an entrepreneur. With a surname like Mittal, what else I could have thought of? So I thought I'll graduate from IMA and would start my own enterprise. My loan was sanctioned. Those days there were no VCs, you only had loans. So my loan was sanctioned, I was allocated an industrial shed. Everything was done. So one of my professors, Professor Gupta, he said that there is this new institute, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, right here in Ahmedabad, that has come up. EDI Ahmedabad has come up. Why don't you go and attend a session like this? There was an event like this happening. So as a very obedient student, I went to that seminar. Well, friends, that was the end of my entrepreneurial dreams. Let me tell you how. What happened was, I was very impressed with the speaker there, Dr. Raval, very knowledgeable man. He seemed to know everything about small scale industry. I said, if I work under this man for 2 years, I will know everything about small scale industry, and then nobody will be able to beat me in the industry. Friends, today I have all the knowledge about the small scale industry, but I have not earned even a single penny through the entrepreneurial route. If there is one message which you have to take home today from my session, knowledge is important, but action is more important. This is just one message if you have to take. Rest you can listen, you can be courteous to me by sitting here, but I have said whatever I wanted to say. Well, a lot of us talk about India being a large market. India is a large market, you quote statistics, 1.2 billion people, so many pair of shoes, so many pair of feet, so many mouths to feed, etc., etc. But India is a big market at the right price point. If you have to capture the Indian market, you have to hit the right price point. You look at n number of examples. Mobile phones, the most stupid, big looking, heavy phone which I bought, my first phone, costed me 15,000 rupees. It was a Nokia, I don't remember the model, but it was quite a huge thing. Today the same model may be available for 1100, 1200 rupees, at the most 2000 rupees. The call rates when I bought my first mobile was 20 rupees per minute. We would get the number on the cell phone and then find a landline to go to and then dial the number. Trust me, I had never picked up my cell phone ever. So from today you have your sabzi wala, your street vendor, anybody and everybody carries a mobile. Similar things that happen with various other things. So India is a large market only at the price point. Well, let me get into some of the today what is the scenario now. I was in Festival of Innovations at Rashtrapati Bhavan 2-3 days back, and there was a professor from IIT Delhi. He was speaking there. He said in IIT Delhi hostels, we informally know there are 50 to 100 startups which are operating from the hostels of IIT Delhi. And this is not rare only in IIT Delhi. This is happening across the country. There are young people who are starting businesses. There are young people who are doing startups. Now the education institutions want to formalize this, and they want to take this in a real formal manner where they provide space to these startups. I should give you an interesting story about a youngster, the youngest CEO of the world. Youngest CEO of the world. You know his name? Suhas Gopinath. Suhas Gopinath is his name. He started his venture when he was 13 years of age. 13 years of age. He is based out of Bangalore. His father was not a businessman, his father was a scientist. Suhas got his first laptop at the age of 13 years. 13 years, his father gifted him a laptop. He wanted to start a portal. And to start the portal, this story is about 13, 14 years old. To start a portal, he needed internet access and he required a server where it could be hosted. So first thing he did was he sent an email to this company in US who was charging about $80 per annum to host the portal. He said, I am a student, I am going to set this up. Can you waive off these charges for me? So the company wrote back, well, for 6 months we are waiving off your charges, we will take a review after 6 months. The next problem was the access to internet. Those days there were no dongles and Wi-Fi's and you only had these cyber cafes. Cyber cafes where they would charge you 30 rupees for half an hour or 50 rupees for half an hour, where you can get internet access. One thing Suhas was determined about is that he said, I will not ask my parents for money. I have a pocket money of 125 rupees per month. I will start my business using this. Suhas today is about 26, 27 years of age. His company is valued at about $600 million. He employs 800 people, 600 of them in Silicon Valley, 200 of them in Bangalore. I'll come to that why these are in Silicon Valley. Let me also tell you that after 6 months when he developed his portal, the company in US sent a mail back to him saying that Suhas, enclosed is your ticket to come to US. Once you are here, we'll negotiate how to go further. When he went there, he was put up in a 3-bedroom apartment. And next day was the meeting. He went for the meeting. And he was offered that till the time you study, you will be on full scholarship. You do your graduation, post-graduation, post-doc, whatever you want to do. And we also offer you guaranteed employment. And this 3-bedroom house where you are staying is yours for life. And in return of this, give us this portal which you have developed. So Suhas said the offer was very tempting. I was almost about to give in. But he said, then suddenly I felt that this portal is like my own baby. And you don't sell off your children. He said, that's exactly the feeling I had at that point of time. And it is surprising a 13, 14-year-old, 15-year-old kid saying all this. But he came back. he started getting orders. When people would realize that Suhas is only 14 or 15 years of age, they would cancel the order. They would cancel the order saying that you are a kid, we won't work with you. So he would write a one-liner email, he says that I am going ahead in completing your work. If you want to pay me and if you are satisfied at the end of it, we'll see. Of course, nobody wants to like to cheat a kid, so his payments came. And there are a lot of interesting stories. He was graduating from MS Ramaiah College in Bangalore. He could not complete his studies because his time was divided between his business and the engineering college. He would regularly fall short of attendance. So he would go to his professor and sit with a request that, can you give me some extra attendance? So the professor in return would give his biodata to him saying that, do you have a place in your company? And then he was invited by the European Union Parliament to address the European Union Parliament as the youngest CEO of the world. Let's say 10:30 was the appointed time. He is not to be seen at 10:35, 10:45. It's almost close to 11, so Suhas is nowhere to be seen. The murmurs started. These Indians, they don't value time, all that started. But subsequently on inquiry it was found that the security at the main gate won't allow Suhas inside because they kept on saying children are not allowed inside the car. You go and play there. Well, let me, enough of stories. Maybe I'll come back to another stories. Let me give you some hardcore data. It is not that the government of India is promoting startups the first time. It's not that. There have been several initiatives to, it was of course not called startups. It was entrepreneurship development, it was industrial development, it was right here in Ahmedabad, you had Center for Entrepreneurship Development, which was much longer. I think it was established in the 60s. The first formal mechanism to promote entrepreneurship was in Ahmedabad, and that was CED Ahmedabad. It got converted into EDI Ahmedabad in 1984. 1984, and then there was a string of entrepreneurship development institutes which came up in various states. My own board, the National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board, was established in the year 1983. Then there was another board called the Technology Development Board, TDB, which was established in the year 1996. This is the first time, this is actually the first time that the country imposed a cess on import of technology, and this money was used for development of industries. That was 1996. Start linking these 11 incubators to form a startup corridor. This is the first city that gave us that idea. The other cities are Coimbatore, Chennai, Bangalore, Pune. We currently have 3 or 4 of them, but maybe more. So there are clusters of incubators which are there. Let's talk a little bit of future. This is the first time that the government has announced a startup action plan. First time there is a startup action plan, which was announced by the Prime Minister on 16th of January, if I remember correctly. As part of the startup action plan, there are various things which are being rolled out. The first of that is ease of doing business. Currently, there are thoughts in the government that can we make an app for registering a company. The technical details are being worked out, authentication, this, that. Very serious thoughts which are there. Instead of spending months together on registering a company, you should be able to do it over an app. We have partnered with the Ministry of Human Resource Development to establish three levels of facilities: startup centers, a basic facility, a technology business incubator, and research parks. Research parks like the one IIT Madras has. So there are 77 institutions of the MHRD. These are IITs, IIMs, NITs, triple IITs. So where this could get established. All of you have heard about Atal Innovation Mission. The program SETU, Self-Employment and Talent Utilization, is now merged into Atal Innovation Mission. There again, there are provisions to set up think labs, there are grant challenges, there are support to incubators, world-class incubators, etc. So that is on the anvil. Small Industries Development Bank of India has India Aspiration Fund. You remember the 10,000 crores which was promised by the Finance Minister, on which the first, not out of which, but there is a provision of 2,000 crores which has been made. I happen to be on that investment committee where we are investing into funds of funds. Within less than a year, we have already committed more than 1,100 crores to be invested in various funds. And if you really look at it, the leverage it creates, because we only give 15% of the fund size. So the leverage it creates is almost 10 times more. But the government will provide the other balance amount of 8,000 crores for fund of funds. Women used to weave, cut and stitch these fishing nets. So by virtue of that, their hands, that they had nimble fingers, they could cut and stitch flowers very fast. These women, these poor fisherwomen, their income levels went up by 400 rupees per day because of these flowers, which were at one point of time getting exported to 36 countries. He created employment opportunities in the remote area with a high-tech product. The journey is not always as smooth as I have told it to be, because this paper was always moist. It was coated with a hygroscopic compound, so it was always moist. The colors would bleed. You remember when you keep any cloth or anything wet for a long time, the color starts to bleed. He had to fix those problems. He had to. There are many steps in the entrepreneurial journey Do I have time for one more story?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I saw you sitting at the edge of the seat, so I was a little worried.
That's how I get your attention.
Okay. Well, absolutely last story. I have, see, as you age, you can only tell stories.
Madhubai might take the mic from you.
Madhubai is much younger. Absolutely last story. There was this young Sardaji man, B.S. man. He was inside an incubator near Delhi. And he was in a very, very simple technology space, RFID space. He was in RFID space. There is one colony in Noida, in fact it is a township, Shipra Sunset. It has about 15,000 houses. And this colony had about 20,000 vehicles. In this colony, there was a problem that every month about 5 to 10 vehicles would get stolen. So the colony was getting a bad name, and the prices of the property in that colony were not going up. So the builders were very worried. So man, just by fluke, he went to the builder or maybe happened to meet him at some party or where. He said, this is the problem I am facing. He said, I can fix this problem. I can fix this problem. And the builder immediately said, yes, come on, fix this problem. He went there. So he offered a solution, 500 rupees per car per month. I'll put a RFID tag on the car, on the keychain, and a reader at the gate. If all these three match, the gate will open, otherwise the car will not be allowed to go outside. So 20,000 cars, 500 rupees per car, a neat business of 1 crore of rupees for a fresh startup, first day, 1 crore of rupees per month, a neat and clean business. Man is jumping with joy. He's jumping with joy. Boss jadili ban gayi. So when he went there, he found out that there are 8 resident welfare associations in this complex. In this complex, there are 8 resident welfare associations. And people who had lost the elections, they made sure that people don't register for the new system. Only 3,000 cars out of 20,000 got registered for this new system. Now becomes the fun. Now with this limited amount, out of 8 gates of the colony, only 4 gates were fitted with the automatic system. And rest 4 was manual system. Those people who did not have the automatic system, they would come to the automatic gate and would start shouting at the gatekeeper. This is very common in Delhi. So, don't you know who I am? And all that. And the fight will start. And sometimes real fist wound. So now, instead of becoming an entrepreneur, man is now sorting out law and order problems. So the scene was bad. Then they came back to the drawing table again. What can be done? Man employed deaf and dumb people as gatekeepers. People who could not hear, people who could not speak. He employed deaf and dumb people as gatekeepers. Now this fellow would still come to the gate and start shouting, we don't know who I am, etc., etc. So this fellow was only kept doing, he would fold his hands, he'll say, go to gate number 4. He'll just keep on doing this. So he's fuming inside the car. Then somebody will go and tap at his shoulder. Say, why are you shouting at this fellow? He can't speak, usko sunta nahi hai, bol nahi sakta hai. So this fellow is now internally hurt. कैसे लोगों को नौकरी पे रख लेते हैं. This is the way he behaves, but he goes to the other. 31st of December 2007, Man threw a party for all his deaf and dumb employees. This was covered by the media everywhere. He took all those newspapers, made photocopies, and next day he put these cuttings in all the households in the colony. Following February, 18,000 cars registered for the new system. 18,000 cars out of 20,000 cars registered for the new system. Now everything is automated. Please don't laugh. But in your case, it could be Switzerland, but in my case, so he was, today the residents of the colony don't pay a penny for the system because it is all collected to the poor. Thank you. I have hundreds of stories of people like you who I can go and share until evening, but I'll stop here. Thank you. I'll leave it to God.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mittal. We'll assume that we can use Mr. Mittal's time if you have questions. But before that, I just want to say one thing. He left us with some, I'm involved in this entrepreneurial ecosystem development for quite a while. I learned something new today. He's left us with some very, very strong thoughts that we are like the epicenter of ecosystem development or entrepreneurial development in the country. 11 such centers, right? one of the first. Everything started here. Let me ask you this. He's told us some very strong stories. I mean, let's put things into perspective. I think Ahmedabad is bigger than Pablo's country, Uruguay, right? I think Ahmedabad is just almost as big as Harry's country, Israel. We're 6 million, they're 7 million. So there's potential for us to do a lot, right? If Israel can do so much, if Uruguay can do so much, I think Ahmedabad can do so much as well. So I want to ask a question. We do this What Next every year. How many of you are aspiring entrepreneurs here? Thinking about doing it now? Okay, this is amazing, right? Can I take you up, couple of you, and Ankit can kind of coordinate this with you? Can some of you give your names who are absolutely dead serious about entrepreneurship, and we want to talk to you at the next event to see how far you got in becoming an entrepreneur. If a couple of you can see, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you can see Ankit, we want you to speak next year to tell us your journey of how far you got, right, Ankit? Now, how many of you have already started a company and you're looking to grow, you're looking for funding? We have enough of those as well, right? Can a couple of you speak to Ankit and tell us next year? And my goal to you, the request I'm making is, if you are 10 employees, let's try to see that you're 20 employees. If you're 1 crore in sales, let's try to see you're 2 crore in sales, right? I think your Prime Minister wants to see this and hear this. I think I3F wants to see this and hear this. Good. Ahmedabad should be able to do it, right? Let's show to the world that we are capable of doing this. So I'm going to take a few of you guys up at next year's event. We would like you guys to basically come to us and tell us your story. We'll keep a session for that. Do we have volunteers, right? Okay, great. You have a problem to deal with now. So, can we take 1 or 2 questions for Mr. Mittal, and then we'll have Mr. Agarwal take the floor. Any questions? Go ahead. Introduce yourself first.
My name is Sandeep.
Hello everyone. Good morning, sir. My name is Sandeep. I'm from National Institute of Technology, Kurukshetra, Electrical Engineering. I have 2 questions for you. The first question is, how do you differentiate between an entrepreneur and a businessman? Do you take both of them as synonymous, or is there some difference between them?
You want me to answer first or we can have both?
My second question will be, like in India, the trend we are seeing is that the IT sector is boasting a lot. Most of the startups, most of the companies that are coming up, around 80% of them are in the IT sector. So why not the manufacturing sector is coming up? Suppose if any student, like I'm there.
I got you. Let me answer both the questions. I'll answer the last one first. See, it is, have a seat please. Why there is more IT startups. Number 1, the gestation period in IT business is much less. The investment is much less. And the success stories around the IT business, in India at least, are much higher. So this is one of the reasons you find large number of students. In fact, when you were designing the Grand Challenges program, Mr. Jain Sinha, the Minister of State for Finance, he said, I will give large amount of award to the students, and I want the students, especially in these IITs, NITs, to think beyond IIT. He said, beyond IT. He said, I'm nothing against IT, but let them think about problems which are of people, which are of society, and can we have those kind of, so that's the second part of it. Well, the only difference between a businessman, I would tend to believe that you mean a trader and an industry person. The only thing I can say is that there's an additional dimension of manufacturing associated with it. In case of an entrepreneur or in case of a person who, so which adds a totally different dimension to the thing, and then he is more focused on the customer needs also. He has to adjust his product according to the needs of the customer. whereas the businessman has something which is packaged to him, and he offers straight that to the other to his customer. So there is you are a science student. I think you would understand this, that all entrepreneurs are businessmen, but not